Welcome to yet another Optics Trade Debates. Today, and myself Theodore, we will be discussing a really popular topic lately, and this is how to mount a red dot on top of a red scope, on top of a rifle scope. So either doctor or aim point. Today, as far as I know, you prepared a couple of questions. So shoot, where should we start?
Well, first question is quite basic, really. Why is basically useful to mount a red dot sight on a rifle scope? Rifle scope's tube.
Well, usually people have rifle scopes which have a little bit higher magnification range, and let's say this scope has 1.7 to 13.3. So 1.7, we could argue that it could still be useful in close range situations. However, if we look at 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters, even 1.7 is already too much. If you have a bigger scope like this, it's, well, 1.8. So, but if you have a 3 to 12 or higher magnification, on close range, you're basically having a scope which is useless, because it's impossible to do a rapid target acquisition with it, because the field of view is so limited with higher magnification. So people are combining their scopes with red dots on the scopes so that they are able to do both. So they have a scope which is good for medium to long range shooting, it's good for low light shooting, and for general, I would say, all-purpose hunting. While if they came into a situation that they need to shoot at close range, let's say driven hunts or anywhere else where this can happen, they just use a red dot which is attached to the scope, on top of the scope. They change the position behind the rifle, they just move with the head up, and they look through the red dot, and they are able to shoot even on 5 meters. So this is the reason why this is becoming more and more popular, because there are more and more driven hunts, there are more and more situations where you need to shoot at close range on moving game and so on, where red dot is basically the only way to go. Even on wide-angle scopes, we see this in IPSC shooting, in tactical dynamical shooting. Even there, where they have wide-angle scopes, they still usually mount a red dot on the side, so that when they come into a situation to shoot closer than 10 meters, they still go to the red dot, not with a wide-angle scope. So basically, when you have to shoot at real close range, red dot is better than any rifle scope.
Amongst these two rifle scopes and red dots, we have here basically what do you need to install a red dot on a rifle scope. I see we have some various pieces of accessories here.
Yeah, you need a proper mount. So the most common way to go is to mount a red dot on the central tube. So you need a mount which goes on a central tube and which has a plate for a red dot. This one has a plate for doctor, and all red dot sights which are similar to doctor. So this ring goes around the central tube, and then you put a doctor on top of the plate, and you can mount it either horizontal or under an angle. It depends. In hunting situation, most of the people mount their red dots directly above the scope in the same vertical line, so but horizontal plane. So that means that basically you have a red dot above the turrets. That means when you're shooting with a scope, you just lift your head and look through the red dot if the target is closer. So this is the most common mounts, at least those which we sell are those made by Ricknagel. They have two brands, Ricknagel brand and Aeratac tactical brand. So they produce different rings with different diameters for central tubes, and they even produce rings for the objective bells. So you can buy this ring with a, let's say, 62 millimeter diameter, and you can mount it on top of the objective, and then basically you have a dot on top of the objective or on any given place around the objective. This is one possibility. Then the other another possibility is they produce 1 inch, 30 millimeters, 34 millimeters, 36 millimeters. They produce rings which go around the central tube, and then they produce different inserts which raise the dot to the appropriate height so that it is above the turrets. So, and then you mount this like this.
In this particular case, I see the rings go, for example, for a half of this size. How do you mount the rifle scope on the rifle with the ring?
Well, this is all you need to have enough space either in front or in the rear of the turrets. So you need to have enough space somewhere here in between that this additional ring fits. It's only 50 millimeters wide, so usually it does fit somewhere in between. So this is a solution that you have two rings for attaching the scope to the mount and to the rifle, and then one ring around the tube that it's meant for attachment of the red dot.
So if you want to go for this solution, you first have to quite clearly make sure that both the rings for the rifle and the red dot works.
Yeah, that they have enough space.
That's
but
correct.
Usually you do. Well, this Leica Magnus has a little bit shorter mounting length, but if you look at this Swarovski, it already has enough of mounting length that one additional ring is no problem.
Well, I see, of course, reflex sights are small, compact and lightweight.
Right, yeah.
What about with the small tube sights?
It also goes with aimpoint micro and all red dot sights which are similar, which have a similar platform for mounting. You just get a different plate and then you mount this the same way like the reflex sight. They're a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, but they do withstand the elements a little bit better. The rain and the snow and so on, they work better in such conditions than reflex sights. What we didn't mention is, as you can see, we have a scope here with a rail, and this is really common. It's getting more and more common that premium European rifle scopes meant for hunting, that they are mounted with rail, and you can, on such scopes, you can use either rectangle rings around the objective belt, so the ring comes here, and then you have a mounting plate on top of the objective belt, and you can put, it depends what kind of mounting plate you choose, but you can either use the aimpoint micro or the Doctor, or now it's Noblex sight. They changed their name. The other option is Henneberger mount, which only goes around 2/3 of the center tube. This one is made for aimpoint. You can see the aimpoint fits on it without a problem, like this. And this one goes around the tube but has enough space so that the rail beneath is not problematic. So this, even those who don't have rails usually use these 2/3 mounts for red dots. Some of them prefer them because of the aesthetic. They are more appealing aesthetically. I do, if the scope is not mounted with the rail, I do prefer full ring. Henneberger produces both full ring and this 2/3. 2/3 are meant for scopes with rails, and they produce either for Doctor sight type red dots or aimpoint red dots.
Does this particular solution, which you just showed, works as well as this one in terms of rifle recoil and depending on the caliber?
It should work. It should work the same way, even though you can never achieve the same clamping surface if you're missing 1/3. So it does work. It's not problematic and everything, but this one is still, I would say, more reliable and a better choice if you need a really robust setup.
Regarding the height of these mounts, of course height must be important regarding these mounts.
Because of the turrets. Because if you have your red dot mounted too low, you'll have a problem that you will not see through the red dot through the turret, and normally the problem is also the objective belt. So with Henneberger you can choose which mount do you wish as a whole mount. It can be of different height. With rectangle it's much easier. You have these inserts which you order. You can have 5 millimeters and 10 millimeters, and you adjust the height of the red dot this way. So this one is 5 millimeters. If you have a wide angle scope, you can go directly, and there is one additional insert which is 10 millimeters. So you can adjust the height to your preference.
Does this solution only works with the previously mentioned these platforms for Doctor or aimpoint, or any other like 15 rails?
They also, there is a lot of more producers which produce Picatinny rails which go on such rings or something similar, so that you get a Picatinny platform on your rifle scope, and then you can put any red dot you wish on the Picatinny. It is, however, a little bit bulkier. Aesthetically, it's a little bit less pleasing and so on. So I prefer the plates which facilitate the red dots immediately on them.
Yeah, but
It's
I
a little
still
bit
think
nicer.
that the Picatinny rail also offers much more versatility in terms of red dot sights.
You can also mount on this Picatinny rail different flashlights, lasers, anything what you wish. This is flashlights and lasers are more for professional use. So I know that in some cases they mount laser designators on their scopes via really, I would say, very similar platforms. So a ring which goes around the tube, Picatinny rail on top of it, and then anything what you wish on top of Picatinny. But I would say in hunting community or in hunting market, mounting of a red dot is more common this way than mounting something like laser designators.
Yes,
hunters don't need equipment like this.
I think that like Eratak and Henneberger, you just mentioned, they make these small pieces for red dot sights to mount them on the rifle scopes. These manufacturers don't have quite many of competition, is that correct?
No.
In terms of
not many.
Mounting it.
And especially when you look at the whole assortment of everything what they do. So you're basically able to choose how much of the surface you will clamp. You're able to choose what kind of platform do you need, either Doctor or Aimpoint or Picatinny and so on. They offer a wide range of accessories which are really versatile. So I think at the moment in the European space, more or less they are the market leaders. They offer the widest range of different solutions, and you can combine all the parts and pieces so that you really get the optimal solution. So yeah, Henneberger and Eratak, Reknagel are currently, I would say, the leaders, the market leaders in this aspect. Even though Ernest Appel and similar, they do produce similar stuff, but not as wide, with so many different accessories, so many different parts, and with so many different possibilities what to mount and how to mount on a rifle scope.
It's basically, they offer all kinds of possibilities. There's really no solution that they wouldn't find for someone.
Yeah, because everything is modular, so you can always combine different pieces to get a really perfect solution what you wish.
It's like putting up a puzzle.
Yeah, but it works. It really works, and the only thing what I'm still missing with Reknagel or Eratak at the moment is that they are not offering solutions for scopes with rails. This at the moment only Henneberger offers. And this was a big issue when the Zeiss came out with a 36mm scopes with 36mm tube, and most of those scopes, the Victory V8, was mounted with rails. And people were asking, okay, how should I put a red dot on my Victory V8, let's say with a 56mm objective lens? How can I put it if I have a rail mount and 36mm tube? So until Henneberger made a solution, the only solution was from Eratak or from Reknagel to mount the red dot on the objective belt, which is, some people prefer it, some people don't. It's a little bit of a mixed opinion. I personally prefer on the central tube and on the front part, in front of the turret, not behind the turret. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Fyodor.
I think we covered most of the questions. If we didn't, I think that people, you can use comments, you can send us an email, or communicate with us in any other way.
Take care.
Bye.